You ever walk down the street and see your favorite little local pizza shop, and then right next to it, there's a giant global pizza chain? And you think, why did one explode into a massive corporation while the other stayed, well, local? It's one of the biggest questions in business, to grow or not to grow. Let's get into it. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into that hunger for growth. What really drives companies to get bigger? Then we'll talk about the magic of scale, how getting bigger can actually make things cheaper. After that, we'll look at the two main ways companies expand, and finally, we'll flip the script and make the case for why staying small can be a brilliant move. So, this is the big question, right? What's the secret sauce that turns some businesses into household names all over the world, while others are perfectly happy and successful just serving their own neighborhood? It's a really fascinating mix of strategy, hard numbers, and, just plain old human choice. Okay, let's start with the why. For most businesses, this constant push to expand isn't just about ego or ambition. It's actually a pretty logical response to some really powerful forces in the market. It usually boils down to four key things that all feed into each other. First, and most obvious, is to increase profits. And how do you do that? Well, you need more customers. That leads to gaining a bigger market share, a bigger slice of the pie. Once you're a bigger player, you're more competitive. You can handle the ups and downs of the economy better, which helps you survive long term. And finally, you can diversify your products. That's just a smart way to reduce risk. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So, how exactly does getting bigger help you make more money? The single most powerful reason comes down to a concept that's almost like a superpower for businesses: economies of scale. Put really simply, it just means the more of something you make, the cheaper it is to make each individual one. Think about a local baker making one perfect loaf of bread. Now, picture a massive factory pumping out 1 million loaves a day. That factory is buying flour by the truckload, its ovens are incredibly efficient, its cost for each loaf is tiny. That cost advantage, that is the secret sauce of growth. And this superpower comes in about 5 different flavors. First up, purchasing power. It's just like when you shop at a big box store. Buying in bulk is always cheaper. Then there's financial clout. Big, stable companies look like a safer bet to banks, so they get much better interest rates on loans. Third is marketing muscle. A famous brand doesn't have to spend a fortune on ads just to get noticed. You also get managerial depth, the ability to hire top-tier experts for every little thing, from finance to logistics. And last, a huge one, the tech advantage. You've got the cash to buy the latest and greatest technology that makes you even more efficient. But here's the catch. Grow too big and you can actually run into diseconomies of scale, where communication gets messy and you become slow and inefficient. It's a real balancing act. And this isn't just about what happens inside a single company. Sometimes the magic happens when a bunch of similar businesses all set up shop in the same area. Think about Silicon Valley for tech or Bengaluru for IT. Suddenly, local universities start tailoring courses for them. Specialized suppliers pop up. The whole area gets this incredible ecosystem that benefits every company there. Okay, so we've got the why, but what about the how? How do companies actually pull this off? Well, the first method is the good old do-it-yourself approach. It's called internal or organic growth. The idea here is pretty straightforward. The company uses its own money and resources to get bigger. It's about taking the profits and plowing them back into the business, maybe by creating a new product, opening up shop in a new city, or just buying more and better equipment. It's usually a slower, steadier path to growth. But what if you don't want to be slow and steady? What if you want to grow, like, right now? Well, that brings us to path number 2, external growth. And this is all about teaming up with other companies. This is where you see the big, flashy headlines about mergers and takeovers. So there are two main ways this teaming up happens. A merger is kind of like a marriage. Two companies like Kraft and Heinz look at each other and decide they'd be better together, so they agree to become one new, bigger company. A takeover, on the other hand, well, it can be a bit more hostile. That's when one company goes out and buys up more than half the shares of another one, giving them total control, like when Kraft bought the beloved chocolate company Cadbury. And these team-ups come in 3 main flavors. Let's imagine we own a juice company. A horizontal integration is when we merge with another juice company, our direct competitor. A vertical move is about controlling our whole production line. We could buy an orange farm to get our fruit, that's called backward integration. Or we could buy a supermarket chain to sell our juice, which is forward integration. And then there's the wild one, conglomerate integration. This is when our juice company decides to buy a dentist's office,
Yeah, it sounds completely random, but it's a way to spread risk by getting into totally different markets.
So far, it really sounds like growing is the only option, the ultimate goal. But that's not the whole story. There's a really strong argument for why sometimes the smartest move a business can make is to stay small.
So why would you not want to grow? Well, for one, your market might just be a niche. You could be making something for a very specific, limited group of super passionate customers. For other people, it's a lifestyle choice. The owner might want to keep total control, avoid all the corporate headaches, and just enjoy the business they built. And let's be honest, sometimes it's just a practical thing. Expanding takes a lot of money, and not every business has access to that kind of capital. Here's a perfect and kind of cool example. There's a US company called Saberforge, and they make these absolutely beautiful, high-end replica lightsabers. Their customers are diehard fans and collectors. It's a great business. But the number of people willing to spend hundreds of dollars on a replica lightsaber is, well, it's pretty small. For them, trying to be the next Apple just makes no sense. Their power is in their niche. And that really brings us to the core idea here. For any business, big or small, growth is a choice. It's a strategy. It's not some inevitable destiny that every company has to follow. Becoming a global giant is one path to success, but so is becoming the absolute best at one very specific, small thing.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. When you look at the whole world of business, what do you think is actually more valuable in the long run? The incredible power and efficiency that comes from massive global scale, or the deep connection and expertise that comes from serving a perfect, passionate niche? There's no easy answer, and honestly, that's what makes it so interesting.